All right, you bunch of yahoos, strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention. Here we go, and welcome back to another episode of Toxic Masculinity. We are here to offer up our political satire approach on views on both national and international events, current events, or just stuff that we want to simply just make up and attach our names to it. We're just a couple of crotchety old farts that have a bad habit of speaking the truth, but won't let a few facts get in the way of a good story. We believe in America and Americans. If this isn't for you, well, then I suggest you change the channel now, because we still believe in freedom of speech and will rub your face into the cow pie of reality. We will make you scratch your head or scratch your ass, hopefully not at the same time. Without further ado, my co-host in crime, none other than the man of men, Don the Predator Frye. I'm not certain if he's got his trusty cohort there, Quinn, with him today.
She's doing get off the couch. She told me you'll pound down.
Women and couches. What is it about that, you know? But anyway, our today's guest is a prominent figure in the world of professional bull riding. Of course, if you were to tune in a little bit earlier, it might have been in bullshitting, but who'd have known? Okay, with a deep passion for the
Never
sport.
got one in.
Oh, didn't take long.
That's the caffeine is kicking in. Watch out, or it might be I'm not sure. Maybe it's my Geritol. Maybe I took a Geritol pill. Who knows? With a deep passion for sport and years of experience as a PBR announcer, he has become a familiar voice and face to fans and competitors alike. It is an honor to have Matt West with us today. Thanks, Matt, for being here.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. I don't know that anybody said anything even remotely that nice to me in the last several months, so I appreciate it.
Well,
the smile on your face.
The podcast is not over with it. You sit across from Don Frye, so who knows what's about to be said.
I'm terrified right now. I'm not even going to lie. I'm terrified. Terrified of what might be said here.
Won't be pink and fluffy and soft, I'll tell you that.
There's a good chance I lose my job today. I'm
probably
putting it out there.
Yeah, well, if you're not afraid of it, just enjoy it.
It was a hell of a ride.
Yeah.
It was a hell of a ride. So here we go.
So we're talking bull riding, we're talking rodeos, but we're actually, what we're really talking about is this is like the big end of the season event that's coming up.
First of all, I'm a big fan of the show. I love what you guys are doing. I love the guests you guys have had. I love it. So congratulations on the success. Hopefully you guys
I've never seen it. So.
That's kind of how I am with my shows. Everybody says, "Oh, we saw you on TV." Well, that's one of us. Yeah, we're winding down, man. We're winding down. We've started this. We've taken bull riding from like the individual aspect, and we've built teams. And now we have 8 teams from around the country. Each has their own home city, but all roads lead to Las Vegas, like any great sport, right? Where we're going to crown a champion, and we're going to do that here in a couple of weeks. And all 8 of those teams will be at T-Mobile Arena. It's kind of like basketball in the sense that we put 5 guys in a starting lineup, but it's at the core of it, it's still man versus beast and who can rise to the occasion. And so it's been fun. It's our second season. And so it's a totally new spin on one of the original extreme sports.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, I enjoy it.
Yeah, you've been.
Yeah, I've been. I think it's great. I just went the other night up there in Glendale, and it was a blast. The production's fantastic. On the show production's fantastic, and then obviously the athletes are fantastic.
I say that we kind of cross things up between the rodeo world, UFC, WWE. When you look at what our guys are doing and the production elements we put around it, I think we kind of have the best of all 3 of those worlds, because we have, in my opinion, and I've got a lot of friends that fight. I've got a lot of friends that play football, that do all kinds of things, but I still will go to my grave saying bull riders are the toughest athletes in the world. But then we take that whole, the manliness of what they do, and we basically lock them in an arena,
right,
like a UFC fight, and then we put all the storytelling and production elements of a WWE show, and there's nothing like it. And I know I'm an insider, but you take me out of the equation, sitting back, I was a huge fan when I started, and I'm an even bigger fan now. So
how'd you get the job?
I got forced.
Yeah.
And that's no BS. I got forced into my very first announcing job. I grew up so ridiculously shy and introverted. I was shy by nature. I didn't want to talk to anybody.
I can get some glass bucket full of buttholes.
Ugly as hell. Okay, you both got one in on me. Jesus. I got forced into it. My dad's buddy was a bull rider, and he built a little practice pen and started putting on junior bull ridings for kids 18 and under.
Yeah.
And we started making fun of the announcers like anybody would do. They were terrible.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, big mouth, you're doing the next one. And he forced me to do it. And I never wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
And the lady that was in charge of it, when we got ready to leave, she owned the little organization. And she said, are you doing this one next month? I said, no, ma'am, I'll never do this again in my life.
I'll
She
keep
said,
my mouth shut.
yes, ma'am. I said, I didn't realize how hard it was. She says, well, I'll pay you $75 cash if you want to come back next month and do it. And I said, what time do I need to be there?
That's $5.
No bullshit. That's how it started, man. That's
how long ago was this?
That was in 2003.
Damn.
So here we are 20 years later. And yeah, I spent half the year on CBS television talking about these guys, and half the year inside arenas all over the world talking about them. So
see, people don't understand what, Matt, when you say $75 today, no one understands that, because inflation is rampant. All things are crazy. You can't even buy maybe 2 or 3 Big Macs or something like that for $75 here now. You know,
well, 20 years ago, $75 was worth $75.
Yeah, and to a broke college kid that couldn't find the classroom, $75 was a lot of money. 20 years, it's crazy how much things have changed in 20 years. It's crazy how much things have changed in the last 5-6 years. But
yeah,
20 years ago, that was a lot of money to me.
Well, smart ass, you ever been on the bull then?
Dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. Dumbest thing. I did it. And, as I was kind of starting to make a name for myself in this world, I got a little analytical and I got a little critical of some of the guys. And they said, okay, smart ass, put your money where your mouth is. Let's see if you really know what you're talking about. And I got in really good shape. When I was in college, I was 300 pounds. And I lost a little over 100 pounds and got in pretty decent shape and thought I could hold my own.
I have sex for 8 seconds.
There's a lot of things I do for that amount of time. And I thought I could do anything for 8 seconds, right? And so I got on the word. Matter of fact, the bull went to the butcher the day after I got on him. That's how bad he was. And I barely got out of the gate before I landed on the back of my head, got a concussion, didn't know where I was at. And I was telling Don before we started that I got on a bull. That was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. And I did enroll in the same college 3 times and never passed a semester. So I've done some really dumb stuff in my lifetime. Getting on a bull was the dumbest. I was not prepared. Not even close.
You're far above me, because I can't remember which action was the dumbest thing I've ever done.
But you've done a lot of things to prove your masculinity. I have not. So. I talk for a living, so.
Yeah, I can't round up the top 10 or bottom 10. I don't know. Shit.
It means you've lived a good life.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
That's right. That's right.
I'm worth all this ticket.
That's right.
Matt, is the bull riding, is that always looked upon as the pinnacle peak at every rodeo? I mean, because I've been to rodeos before, and the skill sets that they show with all the whether they be doing the barrel racing, or if they're roping calves and see who can get that calf in the closest amount quickest amount of time. But I mean, there's all kinds of skill sets. But is the bull riding, is that like the pinnacle of it all?
It's always been kind of the main event, right? Like that's what everybody bought a ticket and stayed till the end of the show.
That's the world heavyweight championship.
That's right. That's the heavyweights. That's the heavyweights that get in there, and everybody wants to see the big guys just throw hands, right? So everybody stuck around for the bull riding. It was always the big talk of the show. And back in the early 90s, there were 20 bull riders that kind of had this crazy idea. You know what? Maybe we could take this and do it as a standalone event. Yeah. Maybe we could get the 20 best bull riders in the world and just fill an arena full of people to just watch us. And so they went out kind of on their own and started what ultimately became the PBR. And it It went from, I'm sure, a pipe dream that a lot of people thought would never make it. They had this goal that maybe a bull rider could make $100,000 in a season, in a year.
Yeah.
And now, since 2003, we've given the world champion $1 million bonus at the end of the year.
Right.
There's guys that have made $6-7 million in their lifetime. Yeah, and now we're a sister company with the UFC and apparently WWE, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
It's wild.
That's my complaint about this whole thing. You brought up WWE, UFC, PBR. Well, the other night there was no Doink the Killer Clown. All the bullfighters were dressed properly in their, in the clean cut. I'm like, no, we need some Doink the Killer Clowns out there.
We used to have a guy that was his whole job was just to entertain.
Yeah,
and you could probably appreciate this. He got to a point where he said, my knees ain't cut out for this anymore.
Right.
and in his mid-50s, he said, it's time for me to take a break. And now he's over in the TV world with us.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of changed. But we stopped and we looked at it and we said, you know what these guys do is so freaking incredible.
Yeah.
Why add anything else? Like, let's just showcase the shit that they're doing on a nightly basis. And with the teams, it added a whole new dynamic to it. And so, when you come back for the individuals season in November through May, it'll look more like that. Like, we'll have a clown, an entertainer. It'll be a little bit different, but these teams deals, they've taken on a whole new life of their own. And so, and
how many people,
we talk about the guys.
How many people consist of the team?
They can travel with, up to, I think, 12, but like I said, in each game, it's 5-on-5. They'll have 5 guys in a starting lineup on each side. And so you put your best 5 guys, they give you a group of bulls. You take those 5 guys in your starting lineup and you match them up however you want to. And then you take on the other team's top 5 guys. And so it's been good because, like in fighting, if you're injured, you either have to fight or miss a paycheck. Now these guys, they can call a guy in from the bench, give them a day or 2 or a weekend off. And now we're seeing guys that are going to be able to make their careers a lot longer. We've got a 39-year-old bull rider right now that, in bull riding terms, that's ancient.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they can utilize him, once a week or, once every couple of weeks. And so that's going to give him more career longevity and kind of save on his wear and tear of his body a little bit. So.
What would be some of the number one injuries? Because each sport, each profession, certain things, and I'm just thinking, okay, bull riding, okay, there's a lot of, you got a big old powerful animal that you're sitting on right there for you, hopefully up to 8 seconds or more. And then what are the most major injuries?
Just this weekend, we had a guy get his leg stepped on and broke his shin bone. Had a guy land on his head and probably ended up breaking his neck. He'll get x-rays this weekend. There's a guy walking around the hotel that a couple of weeks ago landed on his back and broke a couple of vertebrae in his back, and he's got a big back brace on.
I'm familiar with them things. I hate those things.
Right. and the thing is like they're counting down the days until they can go do it again.
Yeah, well, Dan and I both went down to Columbia to
accelerator. Yeah.
And
stem cell.
They did me great. I mean, my Coach McMahon pushed me in there in a wheelchair. 2 hours later, I walked out, walked around for 2 hours straight. I hadn't done that in over a decade.
Really?
Yep. And the next day, same thing, hit me again. Went out and walked around for 3 hours. Yeah. I mean, it was like I'm just walking, but I'm so freaking happy to walk.
There's a lot of athletes that are going down there and doing that.
Oh yeah, I tell you what, man, it's amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
I was listening to like Hulk Hogan and Joe Rogan talking about that the other day on Rogan's podcast, talking about modern medicine is amazing.
Yeah.
What can be done to help the human body if the government stays out of the way.
Absolutely. Well,
that's a pretty big if right there.
Yeah. Like I say, I went down to Columbia for bio accelerator, and then I think it must have been beginning of this year. Went down to R3 in Tijuana. They've got one.
Really?
Yeah, they've got one. So,
and it helps.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in whatever helps your quality of life.
Yeah.
do it.
You wouldn't know you were in the third world country
Right.
when you go into these, facilities.
That's what they say. It's kind of like a resort,
Yeah,
almost like a vacation.
yeah. The
Well,
hardest,
just think though, Matt, if we're able to get, say, get a young Matt West when he's 20 years old.
Nobody wants that.
And well, no, okay, well, again, no, just if we're able to
350 pounds. No.
if you're down there, just been holding down long enough, just extract some stem cells at 20 years of age out of you, and now fast forward to 50-year-old Matt, 60-year-old Matt, to where now you got some aches, some pain, some things of that nature, and now be able to put those same stem cells right back into your body.
Right.
There's not going to be a better matchup than your own stem cells.
And that's what I want some of the bull riders to start looking at, because, I mean, just the wear and tear on their bodies, and just had a good friend, JB Mooney, who's probably the most famous bull rider of all time. Just broke his neck and was forced into retirement. And you see a guy that's in his mid 30s that can barely kind of walk around, and JB's doing well because he's tougher than a human should be. But a lot of guys that have been through this stuff that are not feeling the same way. They can barely get out of bed. They can, can't stand up straight, and they're dealing with these things. And I want to see guys in our industry start to utilize things like that too. Mm-hmm. But we're still, and you guys will appreciate this, we're still in that mentality of, just rub some dirt on it, it'll be okay. It's just, I got to be a man and deal with it. And we're at a point in life and in society where there are ways to make it better. And so I'm hoping our guys will start to use some things like that and take note from guys like you that are willing to go try it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Now it all boils down to education. I mean, it's there are some wonderful things out there. I just don't like a lot of big pharmaceutical companies. They'll simply just prescribe painkiller after painkiller after painkiller to you, to where, professional wrestling, both Don and I've been a part of that industry as well.
Right.
It's a wonderful industry in a lot of ways, but it's a very sad industry on the dark side, because it has probably one of the highest death rates of any type of entertainment, type of sports. And a lot of it is just because of the number of matches that you're going to do on an annual basis. And if you're like a mid-carder or higher above on the card, all the travel on top of promotions and that takes place with it, you live on the road. You're waking up in the morning to do press conferences and all the stuff leading up to these monthly pay-per-views.
Yep.
And you gotta stay in shape too.
Yeah, travel is the hardest thing, and I think people underestimate how hard it is to travel. And for the average person that says, "Oh, you get on a plane and you go to a hotel," what a rough life. But they don't see it. It is tough. That's for me. I talk for a living, but I get paid to travel.
Yeah,
because the airports and the hotels and the rental cars and all that stuff. And like you said, I still, especially on a show day, like the gym is my non-negotiable. Yeah. I have to go train. I have to go work out for my own mental clarity. But when you guys are doing that, if like the pro wrestling business, they're doing that, still got to look good. And you worry about that. And that's stress and anxiety that you put on yourself. And then you're out in front of, thousands of people putting a show on. And then you're immediately off of the stage, out of the spotlight, back to a lonely hotel room. And the roller coaster that you deal with in that industry is like, few people will ever truly understand and appreciate what those guys go through. And we kind of get a little taste of that in bull riding, because, we're playing the same arenas. We're out in front of thousands of people, and then we're back at the hotel, and then we're back to the airport, and then we're back home for a day or two to wash our clothes and jump in another plane. So like that stuff takes a toll on a guy. Yeah. It does. You talk about people not being educated. We deal with so many people. We deal with so many people that are not educated about how these animals are treated. Yeah. They're half of the show, man. They're half of the livelihood of
doing their fluff their hay for them.
Right. It's ridiculous. Dana White came out the other day and was talking about a bull. Dana White, with UFC, he has a bull called Twisted Steel.
Yeah.
That has actually been selected to be in Vegas. They'll showcase that bull at T-Mobile Arena when we get to our team's championship. And so I can only imagine he got a little heat for that, but
Right.
but it also opens up new eyeballs, right?
I don't think Dana worries about it.
I think he's kind of like everybody that's talking right now. He doesn't really care too
Don't care
much
about
about
anybody's opinion, but his own.
but it's like our fan bases are so similar. I think.
Yeah.
I think that the UFC fans, MMA fans, fight fans see what our guys do one time, and it's easy to get addicted to.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was really cool that Dana came out on his social media talking about his bull, talking about, that bull being in Vegas. And so we'll see. Hopefully some of his people will check it out.
I'd like to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be cool.
Have you seen
Well,
his bull?
Matt, since you brought up, since you brought up Dana White's debate there, what do you think about his backing of the this new competition of slap fighting?
You'll never see me ever stand there and let another grown man slap me in the face. Never. I don't know. I know you guys talked about it the other day and I didn't get to listen. What do you think?
I don't do it. I've been slapped in the face enough verbally, I don't need to.
I think it's the most disrespectful thing a man can do to another man. Right? I just
reach over there, bit slap someone.
I'm a fight fan. I want to see a guy use all of his tools. I want to see a guy use everything, and in a fight, anything should be legal.
Right.
Like, get after it. Let's not stand there and just slap each other. But I also know that there's a lot of people that love it. And I wonder if it's because there's guys that are sitting at home going, oh, I could do that. Right. I could take that. Right. I could let that guy slap me in the face. I don't see the appeal to it, but I also am never sticking my hand in a bull rope. I'm never stepping into a cage. I thank God that there are people that love it, though. So
yeah, well, that's the thing is, that's one thing you can get up off your ass and just go do it.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to try to make it to the major leagues in something, that's the first step. Go try it. So we'll see. I'm excited. Look, I'm going to hang out with some of those guys here in a couple of weeks, and I'm excited to kind of get to know them and say, what the hell are you thinking, man? Like, what makes the guy want to do that? Yeah. But I could say that about a lot of my friends. So who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's a crazy sport, and you can understand where it originally was made up in Russia. I've been there a number of times in the past, so my amateur wrestling career, and
right.
Oof. But they were usually pretty much numbed through with vodka before they would get to the slap boxing aspect there. So I think they had their own anesthesia.
Their pregame was a little different.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's so wild to me, man. It's so wild. But again, I don't know. I think maybe it's just us as men. We sit there and we think, yeah, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could take that. I know better. I'm not tough enough. Not even.
Yeah, no. I'm right there with you. I'll watch it, but I don't want to be partaking of it there whatsoever. I want to keep whatever brain cells I still have left. You know,
the few. I've got to hang on to them tight.
So, what is the actual date of this event that's coming up here? And is it right in Tucson? Or is it
we just finished one in Glendale. We go to Vegas October 20th through the 22nd, T-Mobile Arena, and then in November we actually start our individual season in Tucson. And so,
what's the date on that?
Not a clue. I get one day at a time.
Like me.
So in November, I'll be ringing you up to come hang out with us. But
that's a big joke when I was fighting. Hey, what are you doing tomorrow? You want to go to Japan and fight?
Oh, I got to get through today first, much less figure out tomorrow. But yeah, we kick off our individual season. We'll be rolling back through Arizona. So excited about it, But T-Mobile Arena, to go to Las Vegas and do one night is pretty amazing. The fact that we're going to do T-Mobile Arena for 3 nights and be there with this new concept in its second season, it's exciting for us, man. It's so much fun.
Impressive to me is the truck drivers, driving those trucks through the streets of New York City, get them bulls there, get them horses there
in January.
Yeah,
Madison Square Garden. We'll sell out Madison Square Garden 3 nights in January, and our truck drivers getting those semis.
That's impressive,
man. In the middle of Manhattan.
Yeah.
Me and my wife, we sat there this January in the cold and just watched them drive those trucks up and down the streets down there around the garden. It's amazing. Yeah. It's unbelievable. And then they get done with the show and they'll take our bulls it's about an hour and a half away from New York City to where they keep them. And they'll unload them, feed them, do everything, sleep for a couple hours. And then they're getting a different truckload of bulls to bring in for the next day. So it's like anything, right? The unsung heroes that work behind the scenes are the ones that make it all work. Yeah. They're the real heroes in the thing. And we all get to just show up and live our life.
But that's just
my wife's telling me November 10th and 11th, we're coming to Tucson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I can't function without my wife.
I'll be in New York City.
New York City. Yeah. The garden.
Shit. Oh well, if I have to miss it for anything, that'd be the thing to miss.
That's not a bad one. I can't wait. I promise you, I'll have the fight on my cell phone while we're here in Tucson. Yeah. I'll be watching the fight. I do that more often than not. Like we'll be in an arena, and if there's a big fight that I want to see, or if I've got a friend fighting, my cell phone's locked in right there on my little podium. Yeah, and we'll kind of try to keep track of it. It's great, man.
Well, how many of these events have you done? You know, since you started for that $75.
I did my first PBR finals. I was part of the team for the first time in 2010. So, oh my God, I don't know. And then I went full time on this tour in like 15, and we do.
No, but I mean,
30
how many
a year?
How many shows?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
not just PBR.
It's
little hillbilly shows.
Thousands. You know, and I never thought I would do one. And then the next thing I know, I'm on a plane to Canada, and I thought, well, that's cool. I've never really been out of Oklahoma, much less going to Canada. And then all of a sudden, I'm across the pond in Australia and New Zealand, and
like, what's a passport?
Yeah. Like, I had no idea how to get a passport, and so then the next thing I know, I'm on a plane to Australia. We've done that 10 or 12 times. I've been over there. We did the first PBR in New Zealand, which was amazing there in Christchurch. Beautiful down there, beautiful, and it's such a slower pace of living. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I could get sucked into that life real quick, but I'm sure just like you guys. All of a sudden you look around and you're seeing other countries, and you're meeting people from all over the world. And then those people become your best friends. And it's like, how in the hell did I get here? Because I grew up and still live outside of a town of less than 300 people. Yeah. Like when I leave here, I'm going back home, and
where's that at?
Oklahoma. I live about as close to Kansas as you can get without crossing the line. We're an hour north of Tulsa, and little bitty town of Delaware, Oklahoma, and there's less than 300 people there in town, and we live out kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
So when you all leave for the weekend, it reduces the population significantly, huh?
Yeah, our vacation spot is when we finally get to go to our own house. That's where we get the most peace at. Yeah, is at home.
Understand that,
but it's nice.
At least y'all get to do it together. I mean,
we do.
I'd come home from being on the fucking road for a few weeks. First thing, the ex-wife, let's go out to dinner. Oh,
yeah. That's the last thing I want to do. Yeah. Look, I always say I love people, but I strongly dislike people when I can get away from them. Right. I do. I'm a people person. I love people. I want to be around them and everything. And my wife was in law enforcement for 13 years. And when we started dating, it was tough. Cause like everybody thinks that if you live on the road, you're living the rock star life. Right. And I'm as far removed from the rock star life as you can get. I'm like I said, airport, gym, hotel, arena, hotel, rinse and repeat. Yep. And she was like, bullshit. Until she started seeing, and she was like, you really are boring. You really do have a boring life. Yeah. Yeah. And now she gets it. So like when we go home, that's what we do is we're just home.
Yeah.
I see my parents and my grandma, and that's about it.
Pet your dog, ride your horse, go shoot guns. Yeah. Sure.
That's it.
Yeah.
Got a shooting range at the house outside.
How many acres you got?
34.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Our closest real neighbor is my mom and dad,
Yeah.
about a mile down the road. So it's perfect. It's everything I could have ever wanted growing up.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I always wanted to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And now I just want to say you couldn't run me out of there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, who
it's
watches over the ranch when you guys are on the road? Your mom and dad, or
we've got a guy that stays close, that he owns his own business. He watches everything for us when we're gone. My mom and dad are both retired, so they can go feed the horse and the dogs and make a few laps around, and so, like I said, we live in such a small community that everything's pretty safe.
You know when the stranger's in town.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who has plenty of firearms, and
that car don't belong to this town.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And everybody kind of keeps an eye on it. It's pretty old school in the sense that, like, the good people still watch over the other good people, and make sure they're taken care of.
Right.
It's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like anything, we've got some turds in the punch bowl.
Right.
But for the most part, we have a really, really good community of people.
Yeah.
So
you don't rely on the fucking government. Do it all yourself.
No, we take care of each other.
Government hates that.
we take care of ourselves. It's weird how that works.
Yeah.
And everything goes pretty good.
More efficient and cheaper. Yes.
Everything goes pretty good when we do that.
Yeah.
Weird how that works.
let's talk about. We touched about it just a little bit. Let's talk about the PBR clowns. I mean, even though they're there for an entertainment type of element, but really they're there to protect the riders.
Right.
Get them out of harm's way. See, a lot of people, again, that's where a lot of people that don't ever get a chance to watch it, they probably don't know the role of what a rodeo clown does, but they were seasoned people from the industry in the first place, and they're just there just to watch over, and they were part of those bull riding they did of that nature, correct?
Yeah, and back in the day, they were just referred to as rodeo clowns. And then you started realizing as the sport evolves, so does that role. And then all of a sudden, we kind of, with the PBR, took two different paths. And we took the entertainment side of it and made just a rodeo clown / entertainer, and let the bullfighters just protect the guys. And so that became, its own entity, instead of just being one guy that would tell jokes in between and then jump in there and try to save a guy. Now we've split it up into two different jobs. And those bullfighters, just like any professional athlete, they're training, they're watching every single thing they eat, they're counting calories and stuff like that. I mean, they train just like a fighter would.
Right. You gotta stay mentally on top. You can't be telling jokes.
That's right.
You gotta stay mentally tight on your objective,
That's right.
And that's why you separate. You have the guy telling the jokes, and you have the guy who's doing the real work.
Yeah, because it's dangerous. I mean, and you're literally putting your life on the line for somebody else.
Yeah.
You need to be paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
No joking around.
Absolutely.
And these guys, I mean, they're running into fire. I mean, I watched the guy this weekend. He stepped over the top of a guy. Bull took his horn, shoved it right, underneath his butt, and then launched him in the air. But it was just enough time for that guy to be able to crawl out of the way, and get out of there. And that's what they do. It's the most underappreciated job in our industry. But they do it.
Oh, it's like the truck driver.
It really is. I mean, because the great ones will do their job without ever being noticed.
Right.
And then they just kind of duck their head and go on to the next
referee. You never see a good referee.
That's exactly right. They're never in the way. They do their job and they take care of the guys, and then they duck their head and they move on to the next one. That's exactly right. Yeah.
They understand they're not the show.
That's right. That's right.
They're there to protect the show, keep the show moving, but
they're
not the fucking show.
And the ones that try to be aren't going to be here next week. The ones that try to be the show will be gone real quick.
Oh, it's like those idiot cornermen, They go out there and they're always wearing some goofy hat or goofy glasses, and they're always looking around, making sure everybody sees them,
Yeah.
No, you're there for the fighter. You're not there to be seen.
There's some great cornermen out there, though.
Yeah.
Some great coaches.
But they're the ones you don't notice.
They're the ones you don't notice.
Until
unsung heroes. You bet.
They are.
Unsung.
You notice them because they're their fighter goes like this at the end of the fight. You know?
Yep. Or like I love like I've got a buddy in Vegas, Eric Nixick. When he gets in, he knows how to talk to his fighters, and it's not about the cameras, it's not about a microphone, it's about that guy that's in front of you,
Absolutely.
that's in the middle of a war. And we're seeing a lot of that now because we've taken the old school bull riders and now they're the coaches. And it's interesting to watch these guys start to develop from just the old bull rider that, you know, that went into a battle by himself all the time to now learning the characters of these kids and these bull riders and, you know, figuring out that you can't talk to them all the exact same way. A good corner man's going to know his fighter and knows how he reacts to the words, you know, that he delivers. Our coaches are figuring out that same thing, and that every bull rider reacts to things differently.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's the evolution of the sport.
Yeah. It's not a cookie cutter. You gotta communicate with them differently. You gotta instruct them differently. You know, you've got to read them differently, and there's more to it than what, you know, just up and down.
And it's not just, this is our game plan, this is what you're going to do, go out there and do it. It's not always that, because sometimes your mind starts to go other places and you got to get reeled back in, right? You know, you get punched in the face and you kind of forget about that game plan sometimes. Somebody's got to reel you back in and get you back on track. And that's what's cool about, you know, what we're doing now. We've got those built-in mentors. We've got those coaches. This sport, bull riding's never had coaches. It's always been, you know, you talk to your buddies on the back of the chutes, or you talk to your guys and say, hey, what do you think I did wrong? Well, they may or may not be right. Now you've got the best in the business that can sit there and tell you exactly what you did wrong. And if you're willing to learn, you're going to be better.
Right.
Yeah. That's just like anything.
Yeah. You learn from the best.
Yeah.
You know, and you got them instructing you, then you got a better chance of surviving to the next round.
If you
another
listen.
year. Yeah.
If you
another
listen.
year competition.
Are they? I had a quick question for. Are the rodeo clowns? Are they mic'd too, in case that they need to be able to interact or talk? I bring that up because, like in professional wrestling, for example, usually the main referee has a mic,
right?
So that if an injury takes place, and they can let the powers that be know, so that they know that okay. They're flying by the seat of their pants. They're still trying to pull something out, some type of a match, stuff like that. But they also got to let them know that the match is going to have to be changed here dramatically because this guy is hurt. He's not going to probably be able to pull off whatever the big finish was supposed to be. So, that's the one thing about professional wrestling that always amazed me, was that ability to fly by the seat of your pants.
Isn't it crazy?
Without the aid of a safety net.
And if a guy gets hurt in pro wrestling, being able to change that storyline and adapt at the drop of a hat. Bullfighters kind of do the same thing, in the sense that, like, if a guy gets hurt, then you've got to react to what that bull's giving you. You've got to get that bull go in a different direction. And the only time our bullfighters will ever wear mics is if one of them's doing television with us, and which is remarkable to me, because a guy that's in there saving lives and still has time to break it down and tell us exactly what's happening
in a proper language.
I mean, it's like a fighter going, hey, watch how he drops that left hand. I'm going to come with an overhand right. As soon as I fake with the jab, I'm coming over the top.
Right.
And these guys that can do that in the arena while they're saving bull riders, it's unbelievable to me. But no, I mean, they're constantly communicating with each other. There's 3 of them out there all the time that will constantly have a triangle, and they go from that bull rider's priority number 1. And as soon as he's out of there, there's a bull rider or a bullfighter that's in trouble. And so those other 2 guys are taking the attention away from him. And they just work in this crazy little cycle of 3 constantly. And if you're close enough, you can hear them kind of talking, but they're kind of just reading each other.
Yeah.
It's like any good team. When you work together enough and you know your role, you know your job, like, everybody's going to be hitting on the same page.
You know the other guy's actions before he does. Yeah.
That's right. You know what he's thinking. Yeah. You're 3 steps ahead. Right. In this sport, you have to be.
It got to be. It's dangerous.
Yeah. you can't just be 1 step ahead. You got to be 2 or 3 steps ahead.
Yeah, it's a dangerous one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like firefighting naked, you know. So.
Hey, you sound like you've got experience.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a rough one.
you
Not
say
everything
that
goes like you
okay.
want.
Not everything's the plan.
Yeah, Matt, you say that, but there was we had a party in the season party at my home I had out in Mesa, Arizona. This was a relatively new subdivision, and I mean this is a subdivision, and this is just a little backyard, and I have a group of wrestlers that dig this 6 foot by 6 foot deep pit because we're going to ground bury I don't know like 400 or 500 pounds of meat, stuff like that. And I mean, and so, but we have to get all this charcoal. So we go down to the riverbanks there to gather up all this wood.
You know that part? It's free. That's why
Okay.
he does it that way.
Okay.
He's not gonna buy wood. He's gonna
Yeah,
Come on, the land shall provide. The land shall provide. Come on, there, Don. I could do this in this more philosophical.
pull over the side of the road.
Yes, or whatever. But okay, so but these flames, you've got all this wood in there. We got flames that are above 1-story buildings, and I've got the fire department. Someone calls the fire department. I'm out there because this is a 2-day event, a deal that I've got this group of wrestlers that have dug a pit. We burned all this wood, and now we're going to be putting meat in here to let it cook for the next 24 hours. So here I am trying to be a referee and be this politician here between a bunch of drunk wrestlers and a bunch of firemen that are looking to do their job, and even the police that show up on top of all this. All I know is that I talked long enough to where cooler heads prevailed. The fire was controllable now. They saw I had a little hose out there that I could put out if need be. They let us just do our thing.
So what you're telling me is everything I've ever heard about wrestlers, whether they were college wrestlers, collegiate wrestlers, pro wrestlers, it's true that if you get a group of them together, you never really know what's going to happen.
There's going to be a fire involved.
But somebody's going to call the fire department or the police department.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. First, I think there's first responders all the way around there. Yes, yeah.
Well,
wrestlers are they're just they love first responders. They just like to hang around all the time.
There you go. They just like being around them, however they can be around them. Yeah, it's amazing how that works.
Yeah. Well, what is there? Is there a website? What is some of the social medias that people want to check out the upcoming schedules and of things to come so they can start planning their vacations and that? What?
Everything with us is PBR.com or anything on social media. It's at PBR. That's your one-stop shop to find out. And we crisscross all over the country. We go from New York City to downtown Los Angeles, from Sioux Falls, South Dakota to South Texas, and everywhere in between. It's amazing how we'll go like to Northern California. Sacramento is one of our favorite places because there's a lot of really good country people in Northern California.
Northern California is different than Southern California.
But then we'll go to downtown Los Angeles and crypto.com, or it used to be the Staples Center. And we'll sell out there. It's amazing that like you don't have to come from a country background or even own a pair of boots or a hat to appreciate what these guys do. And so, PBR.com, check out the schedule, check it all out. Come hang out with us.
All right.
Well, obviously they have to have some kind of vendors that are there selling all the hats and all the cowboy gear. So how does that go pretty good there with a bunch of the inner city people coming in, or otherwise known as city slickers coming on out? They get cowboyed up to go to the event.
There's a team out of Compton. There is bull riding
the Compton Cowboys.
Yeah.
Look, we love that. You know why? Because here's the deal.
These are tough.
I grew up my whole life wanting to be a cowboy, right?
Yeah.
So many people grew up wanting to be John Wayne.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a cowboy. Why would I not want somebody else to want that same feeling, even if it's for one weekend? If you're going to buy a cowboy hat or a pair of boots or a Wrangler shirt and come hang out with us, I want you to feel that experience. I've wanted to be a cowboy my whole life. I want everybody to be a cowboy at least for a day.
Hell yeah.
Right. So absolutely. go get the hat, go get the boots, whatever, and just come be a part of our world for a weekend. It's we're lucky enough we get to live it every day. So,
all right, so you get all these newbies coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you explain the rules of the PBR for everybody?
I'll give you the dummies version.
Scoring.
I'll give you the dummies version. It's a 150-pound bull rider on a 1,700-pound animal athlete, right?
8 seconds.
8 seconds, and you got one hand in a rope and one hand in the air. You can't touch the bull.
Anything else.
And we score them accordingly. It's 1 to 50 essentially for the bull, and 1 to 50 for the bull rider. We got 4 judges, and each has 1 to 25. So 50 for the bull, 50 for the rider. So
what do you score
on? So we're scoring the bulls on how hard they kick, how fast they spin, their direction change, their degree of difficulty, just their pure athleticism, how hard it is to ride that bull. And then you score the guys on the way that they control, their own position. How can they match that bull's moves accordingly?
Right.
So if I think that bull's almost perfect and I mark him 23 out of 25, that guy's got, and he rides him easy, he's got to be at least that 23. And so, you put it together, what is that, 92? When you go on both sides. And so we're looking for those bulls that can be 45 points total. We're looking for those guys that can ride those bulls and match that and be 90 points. And
do these
the gold standard. What's that?
Matt, do these riders, do they get like this? Do they get like an information sheet on these on these bulls so they understand? I'm sorry, on these bulls so they understand what are the
difference between a bull and a cow, don't you?
Well, okay, yeah, okay.
Just make it clear.
If I was woke, no, I wouldn't. If I was woke, I wouldn't have no understanding whatsoever here.
No, it's funny because some of these guys will go and they'll jump on Instagram or YouTube and try to find videos of these bulls. And there's some websites out there that keep track of all the statistics and everything. And they can go look at a bull's videos, but some guys just want to react. They don't want a game plan. They want to go in there and know that their mind has to be sharp, that they have to be reactionary and just match that bull's move accordingly, because it's just like a fighter. You can plan on one thing because this is what this guy's done every time he's been in a cage, but he might show up and switch stances on you.
Oh, yeah.
Or switch the game plan and look totally different.
Never say never. Yeah,
that's right. Bulls
can
never do the same thing.
Well, that's what I said when Gary Goodrich kicked my head off.
Right.
But back in the early days of the UFC, we didn't have film on anybody,
right?
And we didn't know who we were getting the next round.
Yep.
It would boom, boom. All right, go get some water. Stay warm, stay loose. Then you fight Dan Severn. Oh crap.
Yeah. And you might be planning for a wrestler and then get in a guy that just wants to stand, or vice versa. These guys, a lot of these guys will look at videos and that bull jumps out and turns to the left every time.
Right.
Well, damned if he doesn't jump out and go to the right with you.
First time.
It happens. It's just like anything else. So you can kind of get a game plan. You can kind of have an idea, but at the end of the day, when the gate opens, you've got to react to what's in front of you. And so every athlete has their different approach. It's part of it. And it's still something I don't ever want to have to do again in my life.
Your 2 seconds is enough. Huh?
Yeah, I don't know if it was that long. Well, thanks. I appreciate you being kind to me, but it was terrible. It was terrible.
I was shoeing horses with a guy named Stony Newfang, and we were going down the road, and there was a bull out on the road. And he wanted to get in. He kind of like the girl who owned it, So he says, "Let's go chase that bull back in the fence." And so we get out and we're walking there, and he says, "Okay, when that bull charges you, turn your body to the side. So when he scoops, you'll scoop up and you'll roll over him." I was like, "What?"
So I know you've got a horse background.
Yeah.
Was bull riding ever anything you ever thought about?
No.
Never crossed your mind.
Never thought. I never didn't think about much of anything.
What is it something, Dan, that back in your back when you were fighting, is it something that you would have thought about trying?
Well, Matt, I was that guy that you talked about that started their cage fighting career at 37.
Right.
That's why I started that. But I mean, I did grow up on a farm. So you name the animal, we raised it all, except for we did not have horses at the time. Everything that we raised was consumable. So
Edible. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, so all the cattle we had, and we would have we had a couple of bulls, and they're just the sire all the other cows and stuff like that. So we had those kind of animals, and all the pigs, chickens, rabbits, ducks, geese. But again, they're just all edibles because I have 7 other brothers and sisters. I'm second on the totem pole. So, you know, I always just tell people that don't give them pet names because sooner or later they're going to be on your plate.
That's right. That's right. That's why my wife always say, "Hey, you want to buy a bull? Well, it's going to die on our place. Any animal we have is going to spend its entire life at our place." She's definitely an animal lover, and I'll be damned if she hadn't softened me up to be pretty similar to the same way.
Yeah.
I'm a red meat guy.
Yeah.
Just can't come from our yard anymore.
I pretend came from the grocery store. Grocery store grew it, or
they just dropped it in.
Came in from an alien planet.
Yeah. Man. One of my jobs was milking Peggy the milk cow for 8 years, and when Peggy's milk gave out, well, Peggy was turned into hamburger. Still remember that sad day in the Severn farm when all of us kids are like, "Boo! Oh, poor Peggy!" And my dad's like, "Peggy never tasted so good,"
But that's another job that like you've got to be on time. You've got to be there every morning. It doesn't matter if you get enough sleep or not. Those animals got to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we talk about people being uneducated about our bulls. Our guys will go without sleep because you're not the priority. When you get up in the morning, your number one job is to go take care of those bulls, to feed, water, make sure just look at them, make sure they're sound, make sure they're healthy. They don't need any vet calls or anything like that.
They eat first.
Yeah. I mean, it's like your kids. You take care of them first.
Right.
They always tell you if you're on an airplane and the mask drops down, put yours on, then take care of your kids. Well, that's not real life anywhere else.
Don't work that way.
That's not real life anywhere else. Everybody else takes care of their kids, and these bulls, for these stock contractors, that's their family, that's their kids. They eat first.
Yeah.
So, it's
that's the same way on the farm that you had to get up in the morning. You had to take care of the animals before you got taken care of, and you had to do it with a certain time period because you still got to walk up, catch the bus, go to school. The hard part was the second feeding of the day or the second milking of the day because you're not coming home right after school. You might have a practice to go to or an away game to go to. So it might be 8, 10, might be midnight that you're back out there. But as my father said, son, you like to eat. So do the animals. You like to drink. So do the animals. Twice a day. Once in the morning and whatever time you get home at night.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how tired you are. There's still things that have to be done.
Yeah.
And
that's all part of what makes you so responsible. As from that again, from the farm life, it really does create more leadership quality type of individuals because you're put in charge of responsibilities, and there are repercussions.
Yep.
If things don't get done.
Yep. So, and you learn to be responsible and take care of things at an early age. You're going to grow into that same thing, and you're going to start to take care of other people. And I think that's what makes good families. It's what makes good husbands. It's what makes good fathers is learning those things at an early age. And I just wish that people still remembered how important it is to be responsible. Accountability, whether it's for yourself or a team. We've talked bull riding this whole thing. These guys that have been just riding for themselves now have 4 other guys that are holding them accountable. So it's not just anymore of if you don't get paid, you don't eat. It's if you don't do your job, this guy's family doesn't eat. Yeah. This guy's family doesn't eat. And so that whole team aspect, it kind of holds guys accountable.
How's the insurance working for no insurance for the fighters?
No. Really? And it's interesting because like I do a charity cornhole tournament. I went to a charity event this weekend, and we have this organization called the Western Sports Foundation.
Yeah.
And what it is it's sponsor and fan driven. And what they do is they watch athletes, and when they need something, they're there to help, whether it's medical bills, if it's like sports psychologists, if it's, you know, things that they need help. Like we've had guys that get down on their luck, and this organization will help pay the light bill, or, you know, pay the electricity, or help them kind of get back on their feet. And so, but it's fully sponsor and fan driven. And so we all know that every sport and every league says they've got the greatest fans in the world, right? Our fans truly love these athletes and what they do, and respect it so much that they're going out and spending their hard-earned money at these things to help a guy pay his medical expenses. You know, it was GoFundMe before GoFundMe. This was, you know, from point A to point B. That's it. From our hand to your bills that need paid. And it's, I will get emotional thinking about it, because I've seen so many guys and their families benefit from it. If a guy's out and he breaks his back, and he's got a newborn baby or a pregnant wife at home, and he can't go provide for him now, our fans are the ones that help them in those instances. It's amazing. We're very, very blessed to have the Western Sports Foundation and the people that provide for it. So it's hard to go to your local insurance salesman and say, what do you do for a living? Well, I get on 1,800-pound farm animals every weekend to pay bills for my family. It's just not anything that most insurances cover.
Yeah, I'd talk about a broken back. The second time I broke my neck was I'd broken it in 98, 99. When I was doing pro wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I didn't know it was broke, so I worked on it for a year and a half, you know. Then when I got it x-rayed, you know, that my doctor says, yeah, you got a broken neck. Yeah, you're gonna get surgery. I said, well, it's gonna have to wait until after I do the Tokyo Dome. She says, you can't do that. You got a broken neck. I work for the Japanese. I gotta do that.
And it's the Tokyo Dome. It's not like it's just random little.
That's exactly how it was explained to me. I called him up. I was, hey, I got a broken neck. I guess. Well, Don-san, we know it's your neck and your health, but we've already done the advertising. You think you can push yourself one more time?
And you did it.
Yeah. And then I was back. I had a great surgeon. I was back in the ring in 3 months, you know. So I, you know, it was top of the line surgeon, got it done, you know. And it's funny because when he came in, you know, after the next morning after surgery, he says, when'd you break your neck the first time? I don't know. I didn't know I did. He says, oh, yeah, when we were in there, you know, it was broken.
Really?
Yeah.
You just kept on going.
No, I'd broken it back in college.
Right.
With Dan Severn's baby brother, Rod.
But you didn't realize
I didn't know it. I just thought I busted up my shoulder, you know.
I had that happen with my hand, and he was like, when did you break your hand the first 2 times? I was like, I've never broken my hand before. Right. I can't imagine the neck.
Yeah.
There was no nerve issues or anything.
Oh, yeah. I thought
before
I busted up my shoulder. You know, that's what I thought. I thought it, because it was back when you had those 3-wheelers, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are, yeah. We got drunk and boom, 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 you know.
That golf cart I was talking about earlier that we rode into town in Stillwater, we took it on a big motocross deal. We tried to jump it. I don't know if you ever tried to jump a golf cart. It's not easy to do.
Not aerodynamic.
You can catch them on fire. Yeah. We did learn it that day. Stupid.
There should be some kind of like a little comedy type of book you should just put together of little known secrets of the PBR tour. I actually think it'd be rather comical there. You know,
little random things you learn along the way that nobody told you.
It's never seen on television, but this is what happened earlier this morning. But this is what happens after when darkness falls. I always say that. Well, daylight is there and the beer isn't flowing.
Yeah,
people are pretty level-headed. It's when the darkness comes and the barley pops start to pop out. Yes,
it's funny now. You know, the locker room is pretty calm. It's pretty subdued to the way it was even 10 years ago. I mean, all these guys have families now. You know,
Right.
even the younger kids, they're married up, they've got babies. There's a lot more baby strollers in the locker room now than there are cases of beer.
Yeah.
Which, you know,
or bras.
yeah, it doesn't make for quite the entertaining stories, but it does make you feel good to go walking down the halls and see everybody with their kids and their families, and it makes you think, okay, yeah, we've got some real men here that are living life the way they should be.
Right.
It's pretty neat. And I'm getting older, and so the older I get, the more sentimental I get, and so I'm walking through and I'm seeing these kids, and I'm like, man, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat to see.
Well, you know you can depend upon them if they show up with that baby stroller because they have to provide for that family.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Pretty cool.
Are there any sponsors? I'm just curious. Do you have any sponsors you want to just throw out their names here for?
Man, I've been very lucky. I've been fortunate because my first Christmas when I was a baby, I was 6 months old. One of the first things I got as a gift was a pair of Wranglers. And then a few years ago, we get into this business, and Wrangler comes to me and they say, "Hey, we want to endorse you. We want to give you your clothes.
They weren't the same size.
Yeah, no, I've grown up a little bit, and so like I've been a Wrangler guy my whole life, and to have a company like that come up and say, "Hey, you know, we want to be a part of your journey."
Yeah.
And then a few years ago, the folks at American Hats, we got to get you one.
Yeah,
we got to get you one.
It got ordered months ago.
Yeah.
It's somewhere.
We got to get you one.
It's in the flow.
That's probably my fault. But we, you know, they came up and I really loved what they talked about, what they stand for. And Sheriff Lamb, I introduced him to the folks at American Hats, and they have this brand that they used to wear on their cattle. The owner would put it on his cattle, and it was a plus sign and an X.
Yeah.
Positive times.
Okay.
Like even in our darkest times, we're still living in some positive times, right? Like no matter how bad it is in the world, we're still looking for those positive times. And I always thought that was super cool. And so I was honored when they said, "Hey, come be a part of our family." And because I'm a firm believer, and there's a lot of bad in the world. There's a lot more good in the world. You've just got to look harder to find it.
Right.
And the bad the problem.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, well, I'll just say that like the bad tends to draw a lot of recognition to itself, whereas the good people, they're like the unsung heroes. You just don't know about them, but they're good. But it's all usually behind the scenes, and
that's right.
They're not looking for
the limelight. Their nose and grindstone. They're working.
The bad's easy to see. The good are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're doing it and they're moving on to the next thing. And so there's a lot of good in the world. Sometimes you just got to look a little harder to find it.
Yeah, you got to aim better.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, who's the favorite to win in Las Vegas?
There's a team right now, the number one team in the league, the Austin Gamblers out of Austin, Texas. They've got the MVP. His name's Jose Vitor Lemi. He's a two-time world champ. He's arguably the greatest of all time. But they've had this 1-2 punch with another kid that just got hurt. So now they're starting to question who's going to be the guy to step into that role. The team in Arizona looks really, really good. They've really been coming on strong. They're sitting like 5th in the league. Had a big weekend this weekend, but there's a team in Kansas City called the Kansas City Outlaws, and they're coached by a guy named the Iron Man, J.W. Hart. And his number one priority with his team is making sure they're better men when they leave.
Yeah.
They put God ahead of everything.
Yeah.
They start with their faith, then they start with their fundamentals, and they let things fall the way they have. They're the second place team in the league right now, and they look fantastic.
Wow.
Be interesting to see how things go in Vegas. Last year when we were in Vegas, the last place team in the league ended up winning the entire deal. It was the Cinderella story. The 8th place team wins it all in 3 days. And so that's the great thing about bull riding is you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you just have no clue. You can't draw it up. Can't script it. That's for sure. So
a good fight. You got to go for that left hook. That uppercut.
You can get caught at any moment.
Yeah.
Any moment somebody can knock you out.
They say protect yourselves at all times.
Yep.
That's what that means.
Yep. And that's the great thing about bull riding is anybody can win on any given day. You know, of course, there are the great ones that prove how great they are over time, but anybody that's good enough to get to this level can win at any moment.
Well, you got all right. So we got that established. Now, who's the guy who's been solid the whole year?
Jose Vitor Limi.
Yeah,
that guy. He's you know, that JB Mooney that broke his neck and just retired, in my opinion, is the greatest of all time. I think he's the GOAT. This kid that we're talking about, Jose, in the last 5 years has won 2 world titles. And if he weren't in the middle of his career right now, I'd really have to think about calling him the GOAT, but I can't do it yet.
yeah.
That's my opinion. By the time it's all said and done, he might be the clear cut, greatest of all time, but he's damn sure in that conversation right now. And, but now it's not an individual sport. He's got to have some help. He's got to have the rest of his team step up and be there with him. And so that again, that's what makes this all so compelling.
Now, do they still have individual titles?
Yeah, the MVP of the league. So the guy that gets the most points at the end of the league still going to get a $100,000 check.
Okay.
And so he's going to get paid handsomely for his performance. Whoever that one guy that does the most this season is still going to get paid for his performance. And then when we start in November with our Monster Energy Unleash the Beast tour, it's all about the individuals from November to May. That world champion
Unleash the Beast.
Yeah,
Severn, you better call your attorney.
Here we go.
I think that only happened at the local buffets when I would unleash the beast.
It's been done.
Yeah, but that world champ's going to get $1 million, and so you still get paid for doing your job and doing your job at a high level.
Yeah,
but you can get paid a whole lot more if your team steps up with you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, I mean, but it is great though that you have that individual opportunity there that you can aspire at, again as your individual, but then the whole aspect of the team. So it's great. I mean, if you do well and your team does well and you do well, I mean, you just you got the trifecta there at that point in time.
You know what I love?
Really happy.
I love about bull riding, and what I appreciate it is it's still performance based.
Right.
Like it's still performance based, and never in the history of this sport has there been a guaranteed contract. And I don't think people realize that because they see bull riders on TV every weekend and they think, oh, those guys are on TV. They must be making a lot of money, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because they're on TV, they must be making a lot of money. And that's not always the case, as we know. Teams has given guys an opportunity to be guaranteed a paycheck, and that's never been done in our sport. And so it might not be exactly what people think it is, where it might be, but they're guaranteed an income for the most part. But this sport is still performance based. If you're the best, you get paid the most.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because that gives a guy an incentive to go work his ass off and be the best at something. Not everybody in society feels that way. They want to be paid for what somebody else has done.
Yeah.
In this sport, you get paid the most when you're the best.
And that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be.
It's called capitalism.
That's the way it should be. Whoever does the most should make the most.
Yeah, you're damn right.
Yeah.
You got to put in the extra time on the road, or doing the running, or in the gym, or doing the things you don't want to. Like my coach Martinez, my high school wrestling coach, he says you got to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it.
Right. You sacrifice that time away from your family to provide for your family.
Yeah.
And you need to be compensated for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that there when you're in a sport like bull riding. Because like I said, there's a lot of the similarities. But what Don and I have done on the road as an individual competitor, but it's a lot of same similarities.
Yeah,
you either go hungry or you eat well.
Yeah,
I tell you what, to all your bull riders out there, get a prenup.
Yeah, Matt, I'll just simply say that
some others going to take advantage of your success. Get a prenup.
You got a lot of life experience.
Yeah. Matt, I think Don actually has some type of law firm that he works with right there. He just, just wants to keep
That's
talking
what it
about
is.
all the time. But no.
It's advertising.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Mr. Frye, what else do we want to don't want to tie up Matt here too much longer right there? So, what do we want? Anything else do we want to address, or do we want to simply wrap up with social media here one more time? The date of the big event that's coming up.
Wrap up with the prenup statement.
Yeah. On that note, after we got that prenup in place, so we're talking about the grand finale of the PBR that is coming up, and before your season starts again, and just give it to them one more time there, Matt, just so they know the dates, that where it's at, and how they can get tickets if tickets are still available.
We are headed to T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, right there on the Strip, October 20th through the 22nd. It's the PBR Teams Championship.
That's the final.
Best bull riders in the world, man.
That's the final for the year.
That is the final teams event. We're going to crown a champion. We're gonna have that big buckle hoisted over some team's head. That's where we do it. And so, if you can get to Las Vegas, if not, you can catch it all on CBS Sports Network. You can follow the PBR on social media. You can follow me on social media. It's Matt L. West. I won't tell you what the L stands for until we're off the mic. But yeah, it's coming up the end of this season, and then we take like 2 weeks off, and we're right back on the individual journey. And so the guys will be fighting for that $1 million after that.
Okay, so you got October 21st.
Yep.
And then 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
And then so what? November 10th.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Again?
Yeah. November 10th
in Vegas.
No, in Tucson.
In Tucson.
In Tucson. Yeah.
That's right. Because I won't be here. That's right.
So 2 weeks. 2 weeks from the end of the teams series to the start of the individual series.
Right.
Everybody always says, when's the off season?
There is one.
Yeah.
Monday. That's the off season.
Yeah.
Like there's no downtime.
That plane ride from home.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. The trip home is the off season. That's it, man. These
get
guys,
the lick your wounds and then be ready for next week. You bet. Yeah.
52 weeks a year.
Yeah.
It's nonstop.
Well, Matt West, I'm not certain if there's anything more that we want to add here
Let
right
me
now.
ask one more question because you laughed at me when I asked about health insurance.
Yeah.
So there's no health insurance with the team.
No.
The team.
Now the teams, as far as like the team ownership,
right,
they might do something different.
Because one guy's Bass Pro Shops, right?
Right. Yeah. Johnny Morris that owns Bass Pro Shops. They got a team called the Missouri Thunder.
Right.
Everything Johnny's ever done in life has been first class.
Yeah, I saw that. They show some him just plowing down a couple acres on his property and building it.
It's the most beautiful place in the world. It's right in the middle of the Ozarks, and it's just down the street from Johnny's lake house. It's amazing. And they cut into the side of this mountain there and they flattened it out, and they built this beautiful amphitheater and an arena. We have our PBR event there. We went and watched Garth Brooks there. When they first opened it up, like they have concerts. It's amazing. Johnny Morse, Bass Pro, he owns the Missouri team. There's a team in Austin, Texas. There's a team in Arizona. There's a team in Carolina that the NASCAR great Richard Childress, the owner, Richard Childress Racing. And then Austin Dillon, the NASCAR star, is the general manager of that team called the Carolina Cowboys. There's Missouri, Nashville Stampede out of Nashville, Tennessee. And so obviously Music City has come on board with the Nashville Predators and, the Tennessee Titans, and all of that area has really, really shown a lot of love there. And who am I forgetting? Oklahoma, obviously my home state, the Oklahoma Freedom, the red, white, and blue of Oklahoma. And then we have a team based in Fort Worth, Texas called the Texas Rattlers.
Yeah.
So those are the 8 teams, and those team owners I know are taking care of their guys as far as like actual insurance policies. I don't know. I don't know how any of that works as far as their business models or taking care of their athletes, but I do know that it's the first time in history where those guys have ever been guaranteed money just for being a part of it. So
that's awesome.
It's amazing to think that we're 30 years into this and we're still starting to see, I gotta commend our leadership because they're constantly looking for ways to make this better for the athletes. And this has certainly done this. You've went out and you've got these team owners that have come in and invested financially, invested in equity, invested in these athletes, as human beings. And so we're 30 years into this PBR journey, and we're still getting better and better and better every day. So I think it's cool. I think it's really exciting to see the future of where this is going to go. So, especially now being tied with the UFC and WWE and Endeavor, and who knows, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
We're just happy to be a part of it right now.
Yeah. That was one of my suggestions, since, William and Morris Endeavor owns, and they're so involved with the movie industry. I'm like, get these guys in the SAG. Yep. Yeah, that way they, give them little bit parts throughout the year,
right?
And then they build up enough money. You make so much money a year, you qualify for health insurance,
right?
Something like that. Let SAG pay for their health insurance.
That's especially with the Yellowstone effect. Yeah. Everybody's watching Yellowstone. Yeah. It's cool to be a cowboy right now. Right. It's so cool to be.
Stick them in the damn movies.
Absolutely.
Let the movies pay for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then it also preps them for when their career's over.
Yeah, because that's the thing. There is no retirement plan for a bull rider. You're setting yourself up the whole way. It's
no guarantee of tomorrow.
Like, just
in
like
our industries.
That's right. That's right. So you got to plan ahead and hope that you've planned accordingly. And so I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great idea.
Plan accordingly by getting a prenup, people.
I didn't get a prenup, but my wife has since taken out like 6 life insurance policies.
Mine did that too.
Watches a lot of Dateline. I don't know what's going on.
a lot of loaded weapons around the house. Yeah, he just tripped over it. I don't know.
And she's still in law enforcement and watches Dateline religiously. I don't know. It's whatever. Yeah,
curious.
It's weird.
Just curious.
Well, I'll simply say this, that the Duke has been looking over your shoulder the entire episode right there, Matt, and he's been smiling, his approval about this entire conversation there. So, and honored the Duke here himself to be talking about PBR bull riding.
You look at the Duke. Hold on, Severn. Hold on. You look at the Duke real close. Turn around, you big dummy, and look at the Duke. No, wrong way.
Yeah.
Turn around the other way. Look at his ear. He needs health insurance.
Hey,
well, Don, you need to tell them how that got there. What were you teaching your daughter?
Who the fuck gave you a speaking role?
you need to tell them.
You need to get out, put that damn thing down. You just go like this with them buttons.
You need to tell them what you were teaching your daughter when that happened. Come on.
How to shoot.
I was giving her safety instructor lessons.
There you go.
Yes, this is how not to operate a weapon.
Under the influence.
No, it wasn't an influence.
Okay, all right.
I don't think.
Hey,
no, she wasn't drunk.
Real talk. I've been between the Duke, the greatest flag that's ever flown, and 2 of the toughest men God ever created. You guys have no idea how you made my day today. So thank you guys.
And you didn't wet your pants.
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
Well, we have to end this pretty quick because Don's little bladder can't last much longer. I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised that we've gone this far. So this concludes another episode of Toxic Masculinity. And again, I want to thank you, Matt West, for being here and talking about PBR, bull riding, and the grand finale that is coming up. So, folks, check out PBR.com and to see the scheduling that's coming up. And because as the season ends a couple weeks later, it just begins again. A new cycle to see what team is going to come out on top and who will be the champion of champions of all. Thanks, Matt, for being a part of Toxic Masculinity.
It's an honor. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.